It's currently 9:32 p.m. And I'm currently working on the backs of these high heels that, if I recall, I decided to start working on during the afternoon hours, and have continued working on into the evening hours, along with coloring in the back of the shorts, as well as the outline on the back side of the polystyrene drawing, the legs and bottom. I did that if I recall, during the late morning and early to mid-afternoon hours. As I was working on the polystyrene drawing, I spent a significant amount of the time during the afternoon and early evening hours on a second session of Forge and Fortune, in order to beat, if I recall, the second and third bosses of the game. And just dip into the level 4 equipment before I got tired of juggling that game and working on the polystyrene drawing I'm currently working on, and saving my progress before leaving the second session. So I could instead run Raid Heroes Total War in the background for optimal gold collection. Dad pretty much just finished cooking this kind of homemade pizza. It's not exactly homemade, because he didn't make his own dough. He used a Boboli dough, which is pre-made, and put the sauce cheese, pepperoni, and banana peppers on top of it. Before cooking it. Though I can't help but feel that the banana peppers were put on afterwards, since I don't think it's a good idea to heat up banana peppers with an oven. Yeah, but the rest of the toppings are perfectly fine. There were initially significantly more banana peppers, but I took some of them off and gave them to my dad, since I didn't feel like having banana peppers on the pizza. They have a taste that, while is good, can be distracting from the simple pepperoni pizza I was expecting. I got the idea of Dad making a pizza off of boboli bread / dough. Like he's done in the past, when, upon coming home, he made a pizza bagel by putting marinara sauce and presumably some sprinkled cheese on both halves of a bagel. Speaking of which, around 3 p.m., I had what was at the time the only bagel we had left. And before Dad went grocery shopping at Wegmans today. So because we would be getting more bagels and specifically more cream cheese, I used up all of the remaining honey pecan cream cheese at the time. Or at least tried to. There ended up being so much cream cheese that when I put the two halves together, to do what I usually do with two halves of a bagel and eat it like a sandwich, some of the cream cheese spilled out. And fell onto my plate at the time. And I had that cream cheese too. Earlier around 9 in the morning, which was pretty much around the time I got up today. I think to be exact, I woke up around 8:30 in the morning. But I didn't really get up until about 9. I had my first cup of coffee out of a morning pot Dad made for me before leaving for work. I ultimately slept past that time, though. I recall going to bed around 1 in the morning. Yeah, my cups of coffee, for the most part, came from that big Good Morning cup. And I had my usual 2 to 3 cups, roughly from 9 in the morning to about noon at the earliest. And 1 p.m. at the latest. I had the sandwiches first because I assumed I knew that they were made for me because they were put in the container from which I got. They were in a black plastic container like this one, only with a greater diameter, from which I got the lid. Actually, no, wait. if I recall, actually, those sandwiches were inside of the deli meat bag that I used as a plate at the time. I knew that the sandwiches were prepared for me, but the bagel that was meant for me was left in its original packaging, which kind of made me feel that it wasn't left out for me, since I think previously the bagels would be put in a container like this one or some other kind of container in order to reserve those bagels, either that bagel or those bagels, for me. Hence why I had those sandwiches that Dad made in the morning for me. And around 9 in the morning, and then had that bagel and the cream cheese around 3 p.m. I recall at some point in the late afternoon deciding that I would give the high heels these laces based off at least one image that I got from searching high heels off of Microsoft Bing. I was working on the high heels at some point while working on them. I uploaded the March 7 my dinner video. I started uploading it around 4:15 p.m. I edited it into a UCut video project file around 2:30 p.m. Essentially while waiting for it to get closer to the 3 p.m. time I designated as the time I would have that last bagel. With all of the remaining cream cheese, honey pecan flavored at the time. I remember unlocking the research technology and then activating it for these pillars of the temple. This at some point during the late morning, so I could then build them and get enough prestige to be able to build more goldsmiths and trap makers. Either that or upgrade the ones I currently have. That way I'd be able to get the grave goods and traps that I need to upgrade the Temple of the Dunes more quickly. This is how the Omni settlement is currently set up. The Omni are based off ancient Egypt to some extent, though I don't know to what extent exactly. I've pretty much replenished my supply of provisions to some extent. And this is how the rest of the town looks, currently collecting goods for this task set. Hopefully I'll be able to complete that task set soon. And at some point I should probably replace this evolvable building. Not only is it outdated, but I never even got to fully evolve it. A major reason why I have so few coins and supplies was because I catered all of the tournament provinces that I completed. Since doing so was part of my completing a few or more task sets today. If this is part of a task set, you're lucky if a tournament is ongoing at the time. Otherwise, it's either crafting relics at the Magic Academy, if the option to do so is available, or completing regular province encounters, and in order to get more, you have to do scouting, which takes a considerable amount of time.